Well, sure. So it's this award called the Doris Duke Artist Award, and I think this has just finished the third year that it's been sort of awarded to people, choreographers, people in the field of sort of contemporary theater, and sort of creative musicians, specifically jazz and a little bit experimental music as well. And it's a large grant. It's about $275,000 that you kind of receive over the course of about 5 years. And you know, it's sort of in recognition of work that you've done and meant to support sort of future work and to sort of enable you to do things that you wouldn't normally be able to do without those resources. And yeah, I think, you know, some of the past recipients are people like Randy Weston and Billy Childs and Vijay Iyer and you know, Liz Lecomte from the Wooster Group in the theater domain, and you know, it's Oliver Lake, Craig Taborn. So I'm really kind of thrilled to be mentioned in the same breath as any of those people. And yeah, so yeah, when I found out about it, I was pretty taken aback, you know. And to be honest, it mostly made me think about my son, because I have a little, my son's about 21 months old, and it just kind of, it felt good to know that, you know, on some level that it was, you know, there's still possibilities to kind of pursue a career as a creative musician, as an artist, and still, you know, kind of uphold your responsibilities to your family and to, you know, beyond your kids and everything like that. So it was really encouraging. It was, you know, it was a special moment when I found out about it. Yeah, you know, I think in the case of the Doris Duke Award, and I think the MacArthur too, for the Doris Duke, they seem to really prioritize sort of recognizing people that are venerated geniuses already, people like Randy Weston and Oliver Lake, and then also trying to support people that are more mid-career, and then maybe people like me and Craig Taborn or Rudresh, who are more perhaps in the sort of early stages of our career. So, you know, I think I'm glad they tapped me at all and did so when I'm 35 now. So that's, you know, that's fine with me. Yeah, they definitely work with you to kind of develop some plans and be, you know, kind of responsible and shrewd about what you do. But it's kind of both. It's sort of, you know, I think for me, it's important to reflect on, you know, artistic possibilities that I might not have considered otherwise. But at the same time, I'm somebody who's been lucky and has been able to do a lot of the things that I've wanted to do over the past 4 or 5 years. So I just want to kind of continue that, you know, and keep doing that. So. Well, right. So my most recent recording is called Mise and Abime, and just released in June. And this is with my octet, which is Mark Shim and Jonathan Finlayson, Tim Albright, Jose Davila, Chris Dingman on vibraphone, Drew Gress and Tyshawn Sori. And it's a group that's been together for about 6 or 7 years. Our first album came out in 2009. And this is the same personnel and kind of a follow-up. And you know, it was a real gift to be able to work with all of those musicians and have the exact same personnel and kind of develop our work together. And it's great. And the response to both CDs has been really, really positive. So always, you know, kind of hoping that leads to more and more performing opportunities, which for now it seems like it has. There's a fair amount of stuff opening up, which sometimes comes as a surprise to me because it's a big group. It's an 8-piece group, so it's not easy to kind of fly everybody around and get them set up. But for now, we've you know, been doing well. So that's hopefully that'll continue. I was right in that transitional period, and now I feel like I'm in some ways I'm a bit of an unusual example in that I do have have had, support of a record label for every, I think, release I've done. So somebody to pay the musicians, pay for the artwork, pay a photographer, do the publicity. So that's that kind of relationship is one that's been really valuable to me. I think, having the creative freedom to record your own music and to distribute it and put it out. I think there's a lot that can be positive about that because there's always kind of constraints on what you can do. When you're working with a label, or even if you don't, if they don't feel them immediately, there's always financial constraints, or just you can't do a record where the first piece is for. You can't do a record where the first piece is for an 80-piece orchestra, the next piece is for 100 tuba players, and the next one's for underwater harp or something like that.
Underwater harp?
Yes, just not practical, and it probably wouldn't sound good, underwater harp. That's another reason. But yeah, everybody kind of, you deal with these constraints sort of consciously and subconsciously, and I think having more agency, if you're doing something as a sort of self-production, I think that has the potential to free you up a little bit, which is good. So Seth Rosner, Yulin Wang, they're the kind of executive producers at Pi. They're great. They really are very discerning about what kind of projects they get involved with, and I think one of the things they've done that's been really smart, although I'm sure it's difficult for them, is they don't do a lot of releases every year. They probably do something like 4 or 5. So it means that they can really devote an enormous amount of energy to each release and really make the case that it's an event, that each recording that they get behind is really something special. And I think that's harder to do if you're putting out 30 or 40 CDs. I think it could probably still be done, but I think it's harder to make that case if your output gets into those numbers. So that's something that I've really appreciated and benefited from. And I respect their opinion. We talk about projects, we talk about musical choices, and their input's really valuable to me, but at the same time, I think every record I've had has pretty much been carte blanche, as long as I don't go over budget. That's the one thing that's a little, there has to be some constraints, but so yeah, it's been a great relationship. Okay, Steve Lehman.